If you're like me and you struggle to be motivated and stay focused, you're probably looking for a lot of different tips and tricks. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you 8 of mine that have actually worked for me. Especially if you have ADHD, this is going to be really helpful because I find that a lot of people struggle with this specifically. Now, one thing to note is that not every ADHDer works the same. So take what you want, leave the rest. These are just my advice that has worked for me. So I hope you guys enjoy these 8 tips. I also recently read the ADHD book called Extra Focus by Jesse Anderson, and some of the tips from this video have come from that book, so I highly recommend checking out that book. He has awesome content around ADHD. There's a couple of things I mentioned in here that relate to him, but also a lot of them are my own, so kind of a mix. I also have an amazing sponsor for this video. It's a company that I personally use, and so I'm super excited for them to be part of this video, so make sure to stay tuned for that as well. Okay, so step 1 of the 8 different tools that you can help to stay more focused and motivated, setting up some sort of routine. I don't know about you, but I struggle with habits and setting up daily routines for myself. There's actually a phenomenon, especially for ADHDers, that we struggle, if we miss like one day, our entire habit routine just can fall apart. I watched this video by Casey Davis and I want to show it to you guys because it kind of clearly states exactly what happens.
I think I am so much more disabled than I thought I was. I saw this tweet today about what habits are to people who don't have executive functioning problems. Apparently, a habit to people that don't have executive functioning problems, like neurotypical people can have executive functioning problems, but only when they're like stressed and frustrated and all this. So for time's sake, let's just say neurotypicals. Automatically, like you don't have to think about it. You're telling me that people do things without thinking about it. Is that what you guys have meant by habits this whole time?
So according to that video, it's very hard for ADHDers to build habits in general. But one thing that I've realized is if I have something that I just absolutely do every day and it like hurts me not to do it, it allows me to be a little bit more consistent. One of the things that I like to do every day is walk. So like one of the things every day is like I have to walk no matter what, whether it's on my treadmill, whether I go outside, whether I go to Planet Fitness. I like before I go to bed, I'm like I have to at least walk for like 30 to 45 minutes. And it's just, it like is ingrained in me now, and it's been several years of this. So building some sort of routine or consistency, even though it's hard, is going to be so helpful for allowing you to stay motivated and feel like you're accomplishing things. So one way that I do track my daily routine is my Notion ADHD Life Tracker template. You guys have probably heard me talk about it, or I've walked through it before on this channel, but one thing about it that's really cool is it has a daily habit tracker, so you can actually check off or change the status of the things that you're doing every day, just as again, a reminder. I've also used different checklists, whether that's something that I've laminated or I just have it in my notes app or my reminders app. Just having a system, finding a system that works for you is super helpful. Another big hack that I have for this one, for reminders specifically, is using your Amazon Alexa or other type of announcement. I actually have synced my Amazon Alexa with my Google Calendar, and it's allowed me to have reminders of things. So for example, I need to take out the trash every Monday night. At 6:30, my Alexa goes off very loudly and tells me that I need to bring out my garbage. So stuff like that is very helpful for reminders for your daily routines to kind of remind you daily to do things. If you haven't read Atomic Habits and you're looking for help with habits, that is the go-to source. Listening to James Clear on podcasts or reading his newsletter, highly recommend that as well for some tips for habit building. I'm going to be doing more on this topic in the future. It's a very important topic, and a lot of ADHDers struggle with building habits and routines. So it's something that I definitely want to do more on. Okay, let's talk about number 2, which is planning and organizing your day. I don't know about you, but if you go into a day without a plan, your day just gets completely off kilter because you're like, what am I doing? What am I doing right now? I've tried different options, time blocking, planning it out. I really love the book, The 12-Week Year, but even that is a struggle for me sometimes to maintain. One thing that I read in a book once was just pick 3 things. Like, what are the 3 big things you need to get done in a day, and making sure that those are done. Or even just one thing. Like, what's the number one thing that you have to get done for the day, and making sure that that gets finished first. In the book Extra Focus, he talks about how you shouldn't do the hard things first, which was a very interesting thing that we'd always been told, like, do the hard things first. But sometimes that makes it harder. Like if we don't want to do the hard thing and we're pushing it off, start with a smaller, easier, fun thing. Eat the chocolate instead of eating the frog. You know, figure out all of the best ways to motivate you to get into that flow zone, to get into that hyper focus. Because honestly, like if that boulder, if that hard thing if you can't get to it, you're gonna feel very unproductive and feel like a failure. So hacking your brain to motivate yourself is just the only way that this works. Another tool that I actually really like is, I read the book Everything in Its Place, and they talk about something called the daily mise, or the daily mise en place. So actually planning it the night before, going through and, you know, maybe trying to check your emails one last time before tomorrow, writing down all the things, because I don't know about you, but I have a ton of open loops in my head where I'm like, oh, I gotta do that, and then I forget things because there's so many of them open. So at least writing it down for me is helpful, or just having something to not be in my head all the time is so helpful. Another thing with this is prioritizing your tasks. So having different levels of where tasks should be. I've talked about this a little bit with Notion, is having different priority levels and just kind of knowing, okay, what is the most important thing that needs to be done right now? I've talked about the Eisenhower matrix and how the difference between importance versus urgence. He talks about that in Extra Focus as well. And I just think that figuring out exactly what needs to get done that would hurt you the most if you didn't get done is honestly the best way to do things. Also, adding action items to your to-do list instead of just saying like, do this, do that, saying like, clean this or call this person. It helps you know exactly the type of action that you're gonna do, so that maybe you can even decide, okay, maybe in the morning I'm only doing admin and business work, and then in the afternoon I'm doing calling and connecting with people. You know, maybe you split up your day in that way. Okay, number 3 is focus and intention. I don't know about you, but I really struggle to kind of get in the zone and actually focus while I'm working. Like, getting into hyperfocus is hard for me. But I've actually found a really cool tool, and they actually are the sponsor of today's video, and it's called Flow Club. If you haven't heard of Flow Club, it is an awesome online service that allows you to body double. If you've never heard of body doubling, basically in ADHD, a lot of people struggle to focus if there's not another person in the same room as them. So if you work remote, this can be very difficult. So what they do is they have virtual co-working or virtual body doubling services where you can actually just join a session for a certain amount of time. It could be 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, and you join a group, kind of like on a Zoom, and everyone is a stranger, you don't know anyone, but you're just saying, hey, this is what I'm working on. You can even have a checklist. You write out your intentions of what you're doing for that time, and then they just play some music. You can mute it if you want, but you just work, and it allows you to really center yourself and be like, guys, I have these accountability partners for the next hour that are gonna be here, and they're gonna be sitting with me while I work. Flow Club is actually something I learned about through a friend of mine, and I started using it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then they reached out to me and said, hey, we'd love to partner with you in a video, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So if you guys want, there is a discount code for your first year if you want to check it out. But they also have a free trial. So if you want to try it out for a week for free, that's what I did, and I got really hooked into it. Check it out below because there is some links. I have a specific code. You guys should check that out. It's going to be an awesome experience. You might see me in there because I'm now a member as well. So I hope that you guys check it out. It's a really, really awesome service. And I really want to clarify that this is something I personally have used and it's worked for me. Body doubling is something that has been proven to work for ADHDers. There's something about being in the same space as someone to get me focused. So for me, I've tried a lot of things to help me focus. This is one that actually works. So I'm really excited for you guys to try it out as well. So you can learn more below. Okay, so number 4 is focusing on your mental and emotional well-being. I don't know about you, but if you're upset or depressed or sad, it's very hard to stay motivated and focused. Really working on that is a really important part of this process. One thing that I started to do during the pandemic in the last couple of years is Two things: meditate and do daily affirmations. Now, that might sound kind of weird, but honestly, they work. Meditation has proven to help people focus. It's proven to help a lot of things over the years, breathing, that sort of thing. I did a whole podcast episode about it. You should definitely listen to that one. But also daily affirmations. I recently read the book The Bug in Our Brain by Robert Christensen, and that book really changed my life, and I've started doing daily affirmations. One quote that I love by Zig Ziglar is he says, "People often say motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily." Having a daily reminder and affirmation that you can do things is so important. I recently read another book called The Ox Cart Technique, where he talks about how you have like these success statements, like, you know, and then also failure statements, like like I am going to succeed, this is what's going to happen if I succeed, and then if I fail, this is what's going to happen. And it like reminds you daily to do the thing that you want to do, otherwise things will happen if you don't, you know. So whether it's reward or punishment, however you are motivated, is like really a powerful thing to figure out for yourself, as well as, you know, celebrating when you do succeed, because that also motivates you as well. Okay, number 5 is your physical health and wellness. We talked about mental health, physical health. First, nutrition. Getting the right food in your body really can help you focus and stay motivated, because if you're hopped up on sugar, it just doesn't really help you at all. So making sure that you're eating right. One book that I recommend for this is a book called Glucose Revolution. She talks about the order in which you eat foods is really important. And so a lot of people don't know this. There's so many amazing science that has been coming out. So whether it's getting a glucose monitor, figuring out, okay, is my blood sugar spiking? How is that impacting my focus and my concentration? Along with that, your physical fitness, getting outside, walking, you know, any type of cardio or just kind of moving your body is so important, because people that go on walks, there's been proven like models that your brain works better after getting outside and going on walks than sitting around, literally. So if you're trying to be better at focusing, go on a walk. Getting outside in general, restoration theory, it's proven that being in nature helps you focus. And the most important one probably that we don't talk about enough is sleeping, getting enough sleep, making sure you're sleeping well. If you are tired, it's gonna be so hard to get things done. So making sure that you were sleeping. Okay, number 6, time and goal management. I don't know about you, but the thing I struggle with the most with ADHD, one of the top like 3 for sure, is time management. Figuring out how long things are taking me. I recently started using this software called Rise, which actually like tracks how long I'm doing things, but that has been helpful. But honestly, I really don't know how long things take me to do, and it's very hard for me to know. I'm kind of time blind. I don't really understand how time works. So in the book Extra Focus, Jesse talks about doing time-based versus outcome-based goals. So saying like, I'm gonna work on this for an hour versus like, I'm gonna finish this today, because we may not, because we don't know how long things take to do. So focusing more on, hey, I'm gonna work on this project for 2 hours. I don't know what I'm gonna get done, but that's what I'm gonna do. Stuff like that. I think that was a really helpful thing in the book that I hadn't really thought about before. Number 7, this is more again about like tasks and to-do lists, because again, that's like something we all struggle with. Number 1 is the concept of a side quest. He talked about this in the book and I thought it was so funny. I definitely want to make a shirt about it. But basically, like, you know, you kind of have like your main goal, but then you can also have little side quests, and that's okay. And I think it's okay to focus on little things, and if they kind of knock you off your path, it's all right, just let them, as long as they're somewhat productive. Another thing he talks about is having a to-do list, which is like celebrating things that you've already done. So it's like, oh, instead of having a to-do list, it's things I've already checked off. So having a to-do list. Another tool that I've seen a lot with AI is this website called Goblin Tasks, which actually breaks down tasks into smaller tasks. So recommend checking that out as well as batching tasks. A lot of people, you know, instead of making a piece of content every day, make 5 pieces of content one day while you're kind of in the zone, and then you are good to go for the week. So stuff like that, where you're kind of batching or putting together different types of work that you have to do, so you're kind of in the zone and get a bunch of it done. Okay, so 2 last things in number 8 is some more productivity tips and tools. The first one is the concept of a scary hour. Now, I talked a little bit about how it is hard sometimes for us to get to the hard thing, but once we're there, you actually do have to eventually do the hard thing. So one tool that I've learned, I actually learned this on TikTok, it's something called Scary Hour, where you spend an hour doing the things that scare you. Whether that's doing a call to someone that you've been avoiding, or doing your taxes, or whatever it is, like something scary that you don't want to do. Just being like, this is my scary hour. And really, and it's a great thing to maybe even do on Flow Club, so that other people are around when you're doing all the scary tasks that you've been avoiding forever. So Scary Hour. And then the next one, this is one that I actually love. This is an actual physical tool that I use. I don't know about you, but I get very distracted very easily on my phone. I definitely have a phone addiction. So I bought this on Amazon. It is a phone lock case. So you just pop your phone in, you lock it, you double click. Actually, I'm not gonna do it right now, but basically double click and it locks your phone in for a set amount of time. It could be an hour, it could be 30 minutes, whatever, and your phone is good to go. Literally, it is locked in. You cannot use it for that time, and it's very helpful if you're trying to get things done. So if you physically need to lock your phone up, that is okay, and this is like 25 bucks, and I definitely used it for real. It's not a joke. As well as there's also apps on your computer like OneFocus that allows you to block apps for a certain amount of time if you're really trying to get focused and not get distracted. So those are my 8 tips for ADHD motivation, focus, and productivity. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any more tips that you want, or if there's any other videos or ideas that you would like to see from me. Comment below. Also, make sure to check out Flow Club, get the discount for the year, as well as check out the free trial. Hope you guys enjoy that, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!